Good morning, guys. I'm super excited to bring on our next guest, Janet Walden-West, who is an American author. Janet and I had actually met last week. She helped me with my pitches, entering into Pitmad on Twitter. And Janet really knows what she's talking about when it comes to pitches and how to present yourself to agents and publishers. And it really I had so many questions for her. And I'm so happy that she's decided to come on because I want to ask a lot of those questions, but also talk about her new release, Salt Plus Stilettos, which only came out in April, so 3 months ago. So let's get straight into it. Let's say hi to Janet. Come on, guys. Well, first of all, thank you so much for hopping on today, Janet. How are you?
I'm good, and thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
I'm excited. So we're all caffeinated. I've got my green tea. Janet has a coffee, so we're ready to get into this. I'm super excited. And my first question is, what's it like living in Tennessee, America?
Tennessee is mostly a rural state, so it has like four big cities. Knoxville to the east of me with the university and a national research lab, and then Chattanooga an hour the next way, and then Nashville. Everybody knows Nashville, Music City, USA, and Memphis, blues and hot chicken. In between, it's mostly just cows and farmland, though. So,
Do you live on a farm?
um, my town is so small, it has one stoplight.
Are you serious?
Very serious. We do have a country club. I don't know how that happened, but we have a country club and one stoplight. So it's kind of all farm adjacent, let's just say.
What gave you the inspiration to write your first book, Salt and Stilettos?
Um, it actually was not my first book. You said you were into paranormal and dark fantasy, and I started out writing.
Oh, because you were in two anthologies, weren't you, as well?
Yes, we have two out right now and a third that will drop, I think, next Tuesday, the 16th, maybe.
Amazing. So let's broaden this question a little bit wider.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get into those? And I'm assuming those are novellas in the anthologies?
Um, Probably pretty close. It was hard coming in under 13,000 words. So
Oh, so short stories. Wow. How did you get into it then? So had you written a short story and then you connected with a friend who was also a writer and you decided to have this idea, or how did you first, what was your entry into the writing world?
it was about 10 years ago, and the joke around here is that it was like sleep deprivation that led to this career. I just had my second child, and he was another one of them that was like waking up every 15, 20 minutes wanting to feed. So we kind of worked out a system where during the day, my mother in law or my husband had the baby, and I slept for a little while. And at night, I had the baby, and I was just up awake the whole time. And so I was binge watching a favorite show, and we got to the finale, and they killed off all the wrong people. And it was terrible. I could do better than this. This is horrible. And I just started writing. So, and shortly after that, I don't know, do you guys have like Comic Cons, conventions like
Yeah.
that? Okay. So we had one coming up in my area, and they had a writer's track. So I was like, oh, okay, let's go check this out. And that's just how it started. And I ended up at one in Charlotte, North Carolina, shortly after that. And that's where I met all of my writing group. We just kind of coalesced organically. We were standing there the last day of the con talking, and someone was like, oh, this is so great. We should have like a writer's retreat. And then someone else said, well, I have a timeshare. We could do it that way. And it just happened like that. And that's where our first anthology came from. It was something the group had been talking about anyway, because we all wrote, speculative fiction. And then one of our members passed away really unexpectedly. And so then we kind of like changed direction a little bit, and the anthology was kind of in her memory. We had the story that she had finished and was going to include in there, and everyone else in the group had one, and we put it out. So that was my start.
So how did you go from paranormal to deciding to write your first book, aside from anthologies, Salt Plus Stiletto? What gave you the inspiration for that?
I had actually been in the query trenches for quite a while with an urban fantasy that I had written. And I even got into Pitch Wars with it in 2014. And I was so new at that point. I didn't even know what Pitch Wars was. I saw something, for it like 2 days before the entry window closed and just sent my entry in. And I did manage to get in. But that, as you probably know, is right about the time that urban fantasy was really bottoming out.
Yeah.
And so, I got a lot of requests, but the answer was almost always, I can't sell it. The market is kind of closed. And so just out of frustration one day, I decided I would switch genres and just, try something for me to kind of get back in that creative headspace after querying for so long. And, the romance part of my urban fantasies was always fun. So it's like, well, let's just write all romance and see what happens.
And you enjoyed it? Do you prefer writing outright romance or still the paranormal romance?
I go back and forth. It's whatever mood I'm in. Sometimes it's like, oh, it's so sweet, let's write a love story. And sometimes it's like, we need to blow some shit up and kill someone.
Yes, I do the same thing. So I'm just like, I completely understand where you're coming from. I want to talk a little bit about Pitch Wars because, as you said, you've been successful numerous times with Pitch Wars, and that's how you and I actually met. So we met only last week, and you helped me with my pitches, and you are a queen at it. And I really want to, so anyone who doesn't know what Pitch Wars is, there's a couple of different ones, but this one in particular is done quarterly. You do a tweet, so you have your 200, I think it's 60 characters, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
240 or 260 characters. And you basically pitch your book with the hashtag, and agents scroll through, and if your pitch captivates them, then they'll ask for your manuscript. So it's a really awesome alternative way to be founded by agents who are looking for particular genres that you might have. So it's also very competitive in a sense as well, because you have 12-hour window, you're allowed up to 3 pitches a day. So you really need to make them super punchy, gravitating, and just really pull in those agents. So I want to talk about your process of from start to finish, how it was for you, because you had an agent's or possibly numerous agents' interest, and how was the process from you first being selected for that, then giving them your manuscript, and then being represented by that agent, to then being published by, I believe it's Owl Press, is it? Publishing
City Owl. City Owl Press.
So how was the whole process for you?
I did mine. You're talking about Pitmad, which is the pitch party on Twitter, every couple of months, quarterly. And I went into Pitch Wars, which hosts Pitmad. And with it, it's kind of a mentor program. You send in your manuscript and some kind of synopsis and, your version of a query letter. And the mentors have a couple of months to read through and decide, which one do I want? Who do I feel like I can help? So, like I said, I got in 2014 with Jason Nelson and the Urban Fantasy, and he was awesome, especially considering this was my first book. I had no idea what I was doing. And then I submitted again in 2017 with the romance, and Brighton Walsh chose me. So that was great. And she's tough, man. She was tough. She asked a lot of questions about what are you willing to change? What are you not willing to change? How far are you willing to go in revisions? And at that point, I was kind of like, what I had been doing wasn't working. So whatever she wants to do, I'll give it a try. And in the 3-month window that you have to revise, work on your book, your pitch, your query letter, and get it ready for the agent showcase at the end, we rewrote about 70% of my book.
Really?
So yes, the ending is totally different because, it's not a spoiler to say, part of the issue with it, it's a kind of Me Too issue. The heroine had a stalker in her life, someone that she had worked with and wouldn't take no for an answer. And so Brighton felt that the book was leaning a little bit more romantic suspense than contemporary where we wanted it. So we completely changed the middle, wrote a completely new ending, cut and pasted. And I also changed the point of view from first person to third person.
Wow.
So we did all of that in 90 days. And it was kind of crazy. If anybody is thinking about entering Pitch Wars, it does get really intense. The joke is, is either, invest in frozen pizzas for the family or, carry out because you're going to be too busy working on your project to do anything else. I got some interest in the agent round at the end where they post like the first page of your manuscript and your query letter and a short blurb. So it's really a lot like submitting to an agent. You have this very limited amount of real estate that you have to make the most of and catch their eye. So I got quite a few requests from that. And right after, I just, worked up a query plan with Brighton and started submitting to agents and querying. And honestly, I had been at it for about 16 months or so. And at that point, I had fulls outstanding with agents, and it had been over a year and gotten quite a few rejections. So I decided to just January 1st, if I hadn't heard anything, to query every romance publisher that I felt like I could work with that took unagented manuscripts. And so I tossed everything out there, and I got some interest right away, which was really nice. And at the same time, I entered the now defunct Golden Heart contest with Romance Writers of America. And I think it was March, I got the call that I had finaled. Okay, that's nice. Yay. I didn't really think anything about it. And then everyone's like, no, you have to send out a letter to everyone that you've queried that has your full or has a partial, your editors, everything, and let them know you've done this. Put, Golden Heart finalist in the title, and it will really help. And I'm thinking, okay, whatever, but I'll just do this to satisfy you people. And it really did prompt a lot of people to quickly call back, even agents, because at the time, you're not supposed to query agents and editors at the same time. But I had written all, all of the agent requests off by that point because it had been so long. But, just to be polite, I sent it out to the few that still had it. And I got requests for fulls from publishers and a lot of those agents. Okay. So, which sounds like fun, but really is very stressful. And in the end, I had requests from several agents, and I had given them a deadline like one day before I was going to let the publishers know. So I signed with Ava at Spielberg Lit, and literally that afternoon said, here are these offers, take care of them.
Amazing.
So, and she was really great about it too. She was still speaking to me at the end, and we decided to sign with City Owl, which has been great. And my debut came out April 21st. So that was a lot of fun.
So I have a question then in regards to what I love about this is it shows, obviously, just because an agent doesn't accept you straight away, to just keep them in the back pocket as well, because like you said, this gave you a massive boost, and that reapproach alone offered you a lot of opportunity. So when you were going through the process of selecting your agent, what were your factors that you that made you decide that your agent was right for you opposed to the numerous ones that you had?
Yeah, I love how you say numerous. But I did have a list. I had talked to quite a few people, and I'd had quite a few critique partners that had already signed also. So I knew the things that they had asked, the things they wished they had asked. And a big part of mine was, what's your vision for this book? How do you feel about it? Do you think we need more changes? Do you love it as it is? And another one was, what's your communication style? It's one of those things where it's like, we need to check in and stay kind of in contact. And Ava was really great. It was kind of funny. I had actually submitted to her, and I thought that she had rejected the manuscript months before, and really it was a revise and resubmit request. And I just hadn't realized it. And she had said, yeah, I was just kind of sad because I saw your manuscript in all of the, Pitmads after that. And it's like, oh, why won't she do the revision and submit back to me? So we worked that out, and she was really great.
Cool. So I want to talk about Pitch Wars because you were a mentor as well last year. So yes. I want to know, one, what prompted you to become a mentor? Because as I said, you helped me with my pitches for Pitmad, and you're phenomenal, and you know what you're talking about, and you know how to talk it perfectly, and it's amazing. So what would be
the tips you would advise for people who are trying to get a short and clean pitch within those 260 word counts, and also what made you really want to become a mentor for Pitch Wars, and how do people go into it? How do they apply?
I decided to do it because I had had really great experiences with both of my Pitch Wars mentors and with the class that year. Both groups, 14 and 17, had set up Facebook groups for all the mentees, and they are both very active, and you get a lot of support that way. And I have my current critique partners, my ride or die crew, all came from the last Pitch Wars. We just kind of met each other. And before Pitch Wars actually starts, there will be a lot of hashtags to follow on Twitter if anyone is interested. And getting involved with the community is probably the best thing that came out of my experience. Even if you don't get in, you can still find critique partners, beta readers, a lot of help online. There's usually a mentees helping mentees hashtag that starts right before Pitch Wars opens for submissions. And that is a great thing to follow because you get a lot of tips from people who have done it before. And it's like, I did this and it worked. I did this and it did not work. Learn from my mistakes. So that is a big deal. The Pitch Wars community is all about mentoring and community. And so after I was published, a critique partner and I, Ann Raven, decided, well, we want to give back. We have been so lucky. Our mentors were so wonderful. I mean, we still bug them about everything. Can I do this? What do you think about that? Is this a good cover? So we wanted to be able to, pay it forward. So it's a big time commitment, but it's a lot of fun too. And our first experience as mentors was awesome. Our mentee was fabulous. We said, we love your story. Now here are 17 pages of notes. This is what we want you to think about and change. So
do you individually, on the other side of it, as the mentor, do you go through those applications and submissions and then decide what you feel like you want to best work with, or what you can really, help with?
Yes, the submission window opens, and I'm blanking on how long it goes on, not very long. And you can pick up to 4 mentors to submit to. And when it closes, we all just start thumbing through all of the entries, because I think we were, part of the new kids. So we only got about 200 submissions. There are other mentors to get, a lot more. So there's a lot of reading. We go through everything, the first page, the query, the synopsis that you submit, and then we'll try to go in deeper and read at least the first chapter. And for Ann and I, we were looking for something that resonated with us and something that we could help with. If we both talked about it and could see a clear plan for what we could do to help this manuscript and this writer, that went on our list. It was difficult because we had quite a few on our short list. Our short list wasn't very short at all. And I really wish we could have chosen all of them. There are a lot of contests like RWA that aren't really contests. They're put on by chapters, and you submit, whatever it is, your fight scene, your first kiss, your first chapters, and you get feedback. And, there are usually editors or agents who are the final judges for each category. And that is a great alternative to just, cold querying. There's Pitch Wars. There are the pitch parties online on Instagram. So all of those are other ways to get out there and get your pitch before agents or editors.
I didn't know that Instagram had a version of it as well.
Yeah, I'll have to find notes on those, but most of it is on Twitter. And of course, the RWA contests are through RWA, so they're pretty easy to find too.
What has been the most surprising for you coming into the publishing industry?
That it is very much a hurry up and wait thing. You have to get everything done and you're rushing to get it done, but then the periods in between seem like stages that go on forever. You're going to do a lot of waiting when you send your manuscript out to your beta readers or your critique partners, and then you're going to wait again when you send it to your agent and wait for her notes and hope she doesn't hate it. And then you send it out on submission, and you may be out on submission forever before you hear back from editors. And once it's acquired, you still have to get slotted into the line and, wait for your notes from your editor and send them back and wait for more notes, and then get slotted in with the cover artist and wait for that and go through the whole cover process. And then, to be put into the catalog for release. So a lot of books you kind of go with from the time it's acquired to the time it comes out. It's going to be about 18 months. And I was lucky. City Owl is a very active press, but it's a smaller press, so I didn't have quite that long a wait, but there's a lot of waiting.
What made you decide that you definitely needed an agent initially, prior to, as you said, near the end of it, you did start pitching to publishers yourself.
Mm-hmm.
When you started receiving interest from publishers, what made you still decide to go with an agent opposed to going directly through the publisher?
I was really, when I started writing, I was very new to this. And I knew that I really wanted an agent to help with the business end of it. I was very unsure about that, help not just with negotiating contracts and, kind of being a go-between between the author and the publisher, but just, to help shape your career, keep up with industry details that the writers, don't really have access to otherwise. So you kind of want an agent that's going to be your advocate.
So I want to talk about your Sol Plus Stiletto debut, because it only came out in April. So 4 months ago? Wait, April, May, June, July. I don't even know what month we're in anymore.
I know, it's like date, month, time has no meaning now.
No, I'm just so that was about 3 months ago, which is awesome. And I want to know what you did you do anything special on your release day to celebrate?
Yes, I was so obnoxious. The hero in my book is American Samoan. So, I had my Dwayne Johnson Momoa shirt bought just for the occasion. I actually have character rings that are stamped with my character's name. My critique partners and I came up with this crazy idea, first book we get published, we're going to have these rings made. They're usually the ones that have your kid's name on them, or forget kids, we're having our characters on them. So I had my rings. I had the necklace that I had gotten when I finaled in the Golden Heart that has my name on it and my book title. Totally obnoxious. And of course, you're online all day celebrating and letting everyone know, hey, it's out first day, order your copy. And it was great. There's so much support in the writer community, the Twitter community, with all of the contacts I had made, everyone, and it was fantastic. There's so much support and happiness. So that was a lot of fun.
That's amazing. That's the best release day ever. Not obnoxious at all. That is fantastic. I love that. Go hard or don't go, what is it? Go hard, go home. I love that. That's amazing.
Yes. This is such a tough industry in some ways. It's like celebrate every milestone, and your first book coming out is a huge one.
So you're also a member of the Millions Craft blog as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that? What is it there for? What is the big picture for it? And how did you come up with the idea?
The title came from a really terrible historian, a really well-known writer, and the whole concept was until you've written 1 million words, you really haven't begun to master your craft yet. Maybe that's true, maybe not. Probably it is. But the same group that I talked about when I first got into writing, the group that I met at the convention, and we all kind of do our writer retreat together, they decided, why not do a craft blog for people in the same position we are? You've got some words under your belt, you're out querying. Some of us wanted to do self-publishing, some of us wanted to go traditional publishing. And we drew up a schedule so that each member would contribute every week. And I think we've been going on for maybe 3 years now. And so it's just things that have worked for us, things that haven't worked for us, things we wish we had done, world building. It is just a little bit of everything. Advertising, the craft itself, the market trends. It's been a lot of fun.
That's really cool that there's like just one place where, especially budding authors or even
Mhm.
authors who have been in the industry for a while, but they can come to this one place and have those resources. That's a really cool concept. I love that.
We kind of stole it from a website that's no longer up. It was the Magical Words, and that's where we met a lot of our mentors. And they decided, we've had a good run, and we're going to go on to something else. And I think we kind of stole their idea and went from there.
I want to talk about hobbies for a second. I read on your bio that you are a dog show lady. Tell me more. How did you get into this hobby, and what does it entail? I'm actually genuinely so curious about this. I had a friend once who did it, and I didn't ask him enough questions about it, so I'm sorry, but you're going to get slammed with it. Tell me more.
That's okay. I can talk about books all day, and I can talk about dog shows all day, so that works. I started as a kid. I don't even know really how I got into it. I think that, we were at a bookstore one day and I saw a magazine and begged mom to get it, and it just kind of went from there. So I literally have been showing since I was a kid. I did junior showmanship, which you do until you're 18, and then kind of moved on. And it's funny, I have Australian Shepherds that are not from Australia. So a lot of weekends, you'll find, well, not right now, but most weekends you would find us at a dog show.
So what exactly do you have to do? So my very simple understanding of it, which is why I'm like, tell me more, is basically, they have to look very groomed, very presentable. And then is it only that, or do you do the tricks and I don't know.
We do a little bit. The pretty part is called confirmation, and you actually have a breed standard that gives an outline of what the perfect dog for that breed is. And Aussies are stock dogs. They're herding breeds. So, there's a lot of confirmation what would make a sound, athletic working dog. And then on top of it, there's a lot of poofing and pretty too.
Yeah. Wow.
But there's also stock dog trials, herding trials, agility trials, and obedience, all of that good stuff. So it's a lot of fun to hit a dog show and see all the crazy dog show people.
That's amazing. And do you do a lot, because you enter your own dogs, do you do all of those, or do you only focus on particular categories?
I used to do a lot of obedience when I started, and now it's mostly confirmation and a little bit of stock work because, farming state. And my son has just started showing in juniors, and he's really interested in rally and obedience and all of that cool stuff.
That is so cool. So how many dogs do you have in your home?
I only have 3 right now. So we have mom and 2 daughters. And of course, I co-own with quite a few other people, and the dog lives with them. So they'll come visit for shows now and then.
Thank you for answering my question. Sorry, I was a little bit off topic, but I'm happy. What's been the highlight of your career so far?
That is a good question. And when I saw your list of questions, it's like, I'm going to have to think about that one. But probably the highlight was my release day. That was so much fun, and it was such a high point, not just because, hey, my book is out in the world, which is a little bit terrifying, as you know, but just that I did have such a huge support network that I had gained over the years with other writers and mentors, and it was just a very nice celebration.
What novel are you working on at the moment?
I have a bad habit of having multiple projects going at once. So I'm working on another contemporary romance for my agent, but I'm also working on this weird little paranormal romance trilogy that I'm hoping to put out self-publish this fall.
And what makes you want to go self-publishing as well?
Part of it is that it is still such a tough market for paranormal and urban fantasy right now. Traditional publishing just isn't very open to it, but it really is thriving. Self-publishing, indie publishing, when you go to conventions and talk to everyone there. And at this point, I've kind of seen, behind the curtain, for publishing and know what goes into it. So I'm a little bit more confident.
What's the big picture for you? What is the largest goal? What is the dream that you're chasing?
I think it's probably the same for most of us. We just want to keep telling our stories and having people read them. So, but I also have like this really self-centered, crazy minor goal. You've probably seen on Facebook and Instagram the book bloggers, the Instagram book bloggers that will match up a book with fashion, or match a book to a makeup look, or match a book to food. And it's like, I'm so dying to have my book done that way.
So I have a couple of little quirky questions at the end.
Okay.
My first one, and a lot of people struggle with this one, what song best describes you?
I really did struggle with that. I thought about it for a long time, and I live with a musician, and I still could not come up with one because I'm a little bit eclectic. I love across genres. Country music, of course, because where we're at, metal from back in the day. I love my hair bands, pop stuff, a lot of stuff from indigenous groups like Northern Cree dancers, folk stuff. I got to go see the Chieftains for our pre-anniversary and Thanksgiving, and that was amazing. So I really have not found one that's just one that works for me.
Well, in that case then, can you specify what your life motto is? What do you live by?
We kind of touched on it earlier, and the nice way to put it is persistence pays off, but my husband said it's just sheer stubbornness, so the stubbornness works.
What is something that you are awkwardly disastrous at?
Oh my goodness, there are so many things. I love music, but I do not sing. My children have asked me not to sing. My husband has asked me not to sing. The dogs go hide. So there's that. But there's also swimming. I love the ocean. I love the pool. But if there's ever an aquatic disaster, if we can't doggy paddle our way out of it, I'm going to drown. Cannot swim.
If you could have one supernatural ability, what would it be?
I think it would probably have to be shape shifting. That just sounds like fun, doesn't it?
Yeah. Could you imagine how many people's lives you could mess up? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I can.
That's so bad.
I think you have to think like that as an author, though, because you go into your story and it's like, how many terrible things can I do to my characters?
What is your favorite time of the day and why?
I am not actually a morning person given my choice, but I don't get a choice. So I see a lot of sunrises, for work, getting kids to school and dog shows, because they always start at like the crack of dawn. So you're on the road before the crack of dawn. So I have come to enjoy sunrises.
Well, that's all my questions. Do you have anything that you want to tell the audience? Like, do you have anything up and coming or any advice you want to leave on an end note?
Like I said, hopefully I will have at least the first book of the paranormal romance series out in November-ish. And I also have another urban fantasy short story coming out the 22nd in the Concrete Dreams Witches, Warriors, and Wise Women anthology from Prospective Press. And I think the pre-orders for that are live now.
Yeah, I had a look. It's a beautiful cover. I had a look yesterday.
I love that cover.
When I was stalking you yesterday for this, of course. But yeah, I was like, that's a really beautiful cover.
I was very excited by that one.
I love it. Well, we'll look forward to it, and I'll find the links and I'll post them below if anyone wants to get a click in. But thank you so much for hopping on today, Janet. It was really awesome chatting with you.
It was great talking to you too.
Bye.
Bye.